A lot of news this weekend. A lot of news this weekend. We'll get to it in just a sec. AJ, how was your weekend? How was your travels?
I was home this weekend, so I'm easy. I didn't do anything this weekend. I was home. My son graduated from high school, and we moved on.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was
Congratulations to Austin.
yes, it was easy. It was easy weekend.
There you go. You just sat home watching the first few innings of the Orioles games because that's all you needed to watch, right?
Well, they were down 7-0 pretty much every game. So yeah, it was pretty easy.
We were texting our group chat. We're like, and they're down a ton early on again. I'll just reiterate before we start. Actually, you know what, Kratz? I'll just bring it right into the conversation because I want to get your take on how fun it is for an offense, even though it's only a month and a half into the season, to be looking at the scoreboard like, damn it. Again, we got a lot of work to do today, boys. But let's get into it because there's a coaching change. Let's charge the mound.
Charging the mound.
Brandon Hyde out, Tony Mansolino in as the interim manager, but there is dysfunction at this point with the Orioles. This is turning into a very bad team very quickly. AJ, since you got to see the early blowouts, what were you observing about this team and how screwed are they for the rest of the season? We know this is a scapegoat.
Well, they can't. They fall behind 3, 4, 5-0 in the first 2 innings every game. It's hard to play like that. I don't care how good your offense is supposed to be and how good of prospects you have and how many this and that. So listen, it's not Brandon Hyde's fault. It sucks that he got fired, but I mean, Mike Elias, we talked about it. I mean, Tyler O'Neill was their big offseason addition. He's hurt. He's had a history of being hurt. That's the guy you go and get. Why would you not spend that money somewhere else? Or if you have all these outfield prospects and Kobe Mayo can play the outfield and Hurstad and Mullins and all these other guys, I understand you need some right-handed power, but I think you could have made a different move than that. And that's not a knock on Tyler O'Neill, but I don't know. I think that this team is in trouble. They're obviously they fire the manager. Then they go get smacked 2 games in a row by the Nats. So I just think this is it's a culmination of a lot of bad things all hitting at once, and it just cost Brandon Hyde his job.
Everybody looks at teams and they say, okay, well, they're not doing good, or this player, he's not doing good. Well, you send them down when they don't do good. Whether they're a good player or not, you can't do that to a manager or a GM. A GM, Mike Elias, put this team together, and he gave them no backing for if Grayson Rodriguez goes down, if in the last 2 years Tyler Wells goes down, if I'm forgetting who else has gotten injured in their pitching staff, but they gave them no backup. So what happens then is you have to answer to that as a GM. Why does this team not have enough depth? But for some reason, GMs don't get, they don't get treated quite the same way, and the manager loses his job. But from an offensive standpoint, you go, how are we supposed to put together at bats in a big league team, no matter who you're facing, unless it's the Rockies, they give up a lot of runs anyway. How are you supposed to put together at bats to come back from down 3 in the 7th inning, down 6 in the 2nd inning? Like it's hard to do. And scapegoats, I don't know. It's tough to blame anybody but Mike Elias, but it's also somewhat on the pitchers that they have there. Like, you guys have to step it up, but are they really together as a group good enough?
But they made wrong moves. I mean, for example, Charlie Morton has looked like this is going to be the end of the road for him. Kyle Gibson was given 4 starts. He was torpedoed back out of baseball for now, right? And that was a late signing, which that's a whole nother story within itself. Late pitcher signings have been a big problem in our game for a while now. And if you're not going to give a guy much of a chance, then we've seen many trends where a guy gets called up, several weeks into the season and it's a mess. AJ, I don't know what the thought process was here for the rotation. I'm sure that Mike Elias anticipated that they would be healthier, but they're not. Like Kratz mentioned, Bradish second half, Grayson Rodriguez probably second half. They did get Burns last year. They lost him. Max Fried was a free agent. they talked about how they made a good offer to Burns, but it wasn't as high as the guaranteed money that Arizona gave him. So you would have had to beat that money if you're trying to win a guy over who likes a location better. There were trade options. Jesus Luzardo, Garrett Crochet. We all talked about this ad nauseum, right? And even Ken Rosenthal said that executives he was talking to around the league, it was like the worst kept secret. The Orioles are going to be in trouble with their rotation if there's one or two cracks. So now what? Is Tony Mansolino going to save the day and the Orioles are going to make the playoffs? Most likely not. So what's going to happen over the next several months?
They're going to continue to stay where they're at. I mean, I don't care how hot their hitter. If they can't pitch, they're not going to go anywhere, especially in this division with the Yankees and the Blue Jays and the Red Sox and even the Rays. I mean, if they can't pitch, then it doesn't matter who the manager is. And that Brandon Hyde doesn't throw the ball. Brandon Hyde didn't decide who his pitchers are. All he can do is roll with who he has. And he was given a team that we talked about up and down, that they just weren't going to be the pitching we were worried about. They knew Bradish was out. Now, they weren't counting on Grayson going down, but there's a reason why Charlie Morton didn't get re-signed where he was, right? There's a reason why. I mean, Sagano has been their best pitcher, and they didn't even know what they were going to get. He was a one-year deal, but they went out and didn't make trades for guys like Crochet and all the guys we've mentioned. So this is just an organizational failure. There's no other way. And then Jacob Calvin Meyer with this tweet about, it's quite fitting the first game is Kyle Gibson and Charlie Morton, the two best pitchers who best represent the failure that was Mike Elias's offseason. Yeah, and then Zach Eflin comes back and gives up 7 in an inning and a third or whatever it was. So it just hasn't worked. And they trade Stowers and make the move for the guy what's his name, Rogers in AAA that's not pitching. Right? Like, why did they make that's the move they went with? The guy because he was controllable, but the Marlins clearly didn't want him. The Marlins like, we stole this guy from you all. So it's just an organizational failure.
And we talked last week with Brett Boone and Max Muncy having good hitting conversations. Hitting as a team it's hard to do. It's really hard to do when a pitcher can deviate from what he's actually going to do to you because he has a 7-run game. Maybe AJ doesn't agree with me, but you don't pitch the same when you're winning by 7 runs as you do when it's a 1-run game. When your team is close, you have a luxury of like, hey, you know what? We can land this first pitch curveball that the guy throws 10% of the time and get this guy off the pitches that we know are going to get him out because we have a huge lead. And you know what? We give up a home run here, we're still up by 6. And so people say, oh, well, the defense, the pitching shouldn't affect how the hitters hit. It does, especially when you have young guys out there who are like, all right, I got to hopefully this is the money ball. I'm going to hit a 6-run homer here so we can get back to tied. It's not even that they were like going ahead if they score a 6-run homer. Like they'll be tied. So it's permeating everything. The decisions, the fact that they couldn't lure Sonny Gray over when he was going to be traded there. He didn't want to go there, whether they didn't make enough of a push for it, that they couldn't make the push for Burns. Like you said, it was like they went from option 1, the Burns annual AAV, which would have broken all records, to, well, I just guess we can't get anybody now.
Important piece of the puzzle, Orioles payroll this year versus last year. AJ, $66 million more this year than last year. This is important for our show since we go wherever we want to go, right? And we know that's not the case.
Yeah, but where'd that money go is the key.
Aspect.
Where'd the
that's
money
what
go?
I'm saying is,
I mean, they signed Tyler O'Neill to a
cheap.
3-year deal. Okay, a 3-year deal. Nothing against Tyler O'Neill, but he has a long history of being injured. Okay,
16 ILs.
Sagano, right? He's a 1-year deal. Charlie Morton, 1-year deal. If you're going to spend $66 million and make it go up, I know there were some raises involved in arbitration guys, but you tell me you couldn't find a quality pitcher for $30 million in there somewhere, like a really good pitcher, like a Max Fried. I mean, he would have looked nice there. Clearly didn't. They didn't go after him. Corbin Burns. Now he wasn't going to stay because he wanted to go to Arizona, but there was other guys. Crochet, like we've talked about. There was other moves that could have been made. I just feel like they're trying to do this on the cheap right now, even though their payroll went up, but I still feel like they're not fully invested. And again, it's an organizational failure. It starts at the top.
Do you guys remember the year that the Angels spent like $40 million on single season players? Cody Allen, Matt Harvey, there was like 3 or 4 more, and every single one I think was a 0 or negative win player, right? Like a really a non-factor kind of player in terms of that particular season and the production they were putting together. The pitchers had high ERAs, the hitters really weren't hitting. It was bad. To me, we get shades of that with the way that Mike Elias is operating right now. They're not looking for franchise superstar players. I mean, even Kratz, I know you like Gary Sanchez. I mean, even that move right now, like I'm just adding up the money that they upped, right? $66 million is a big, big up to your payroll. I think it was the largest payroll increase, or maybe the Mets are in there. I don't know, but it's up there, okay, in terms of a payroll increase. Mike Elias failed. This has to be on him. We can place some blame on the owner too, because we don't know what final offers look like for players. But it does look like he was given good leeway here. He was able to tank a team for a 5-6 year span and did a really nice job drafting players. But you have to be able to supplement that. And also the development of those players has stalled too, right? Jordan Westbrook's having a down year. Adley Rutschman's having now a down full year going back to the second half of last year. I mean, it's still not what you'd expect, right? Like he's in the 90 something OPS plus, which is fine for a catcher, but you expect him to be a star. Westberg was an all-star last year. Gunnar Henderson's been good, not MVP-ish, and I know he had a late start to the season. It's just like, what are we doing here? And do you give your GM a chance to make up for it this offseason? Or do you say, hey, I gave you all the pieces in the world to tank this thing and then spend it back and then have a contender, and right in the thick of what should be their winning window, this is a terrible team right now.
All right, well, 2 things. First of all, prospects, this is just another example, and maybe I'm cherry picking. If you have a chance to get an established veteran who has had years of success in the big leagues, you get rid of the prospect. No matter what you think they're going to be, you trade the prospect, because this team is full of prospects and not everybody's hitting. Nobody would have ever gotten rid of Gunnar Henderson last year. I get that. He's not the guy you're getting rid of. You're getting rid of other guys. The other piece is, how do you, as an organization, find value? Because your value, the Rays, they go out and they say, okay, this, our park plays really well. Tropicana Field plays really well with 4-seam fastball. So we're going to really work that compared to other parks, other places where we play. We're going to find guys that work into that. What added value, what surplus value are the Orioles finding in players besides, hey, we have all these prospects, they're going to come up and they're all going to be Rookie of the Year candidates, and we don't need any veteran like value. What kind of value are they finding? They're not finding any value in Sagano. They're not finding, hey, we got to really push this into pitching. So not only have they missed on not getting rid of some of their prospects to add in veterans besides Burns last year, but they've also missed on the fact that they have to go out. The organization has to go out and say, okay, you did this really well. We're going to plug you into this part of our team, pitching, whatever is hitting, fielding. They're just going out. They got out Ramon Liriano, who's a good player, but they already had outfield people that could have put into spots.
And we are seeing, in my mind, teams that have nothing else to do but find a scapegoat for now. You can't just keep operating with what you have, and you can't really make trades. No one makes trades for the most part this time of year. So you're pretty limited in terms of what you're able to do. Let's show some quick history here. Jason Stark pointing out how Skip Schumacher and Brandon Hyde were managers of the year in 2023. 18 months later, neither of them are managers. 2022 managers of the year, Buck Showalter and Terry Francona. 30 months later, Buck's not managing. Francona is not in Cleveland. Tough gig. And then this one from Jesse Rogers, I think, is really relevant to what's going on right now, AJ. 3 changes this season are the most before June since 2002. It's been a long time since we saw that. Now, we have some bad teams, and I would put the other 2 teams in a different category, but the Pirates and the Rockies letting go of their managers for teams that I think in all of our minds were not contending teams. They just were so bad that, again, they felt like they had to do something just to get the public off their back. The Orioles is a team, obviously, even with their flaws heading into the season, that we didn't expect to be at this point. But add it all up, and we do see GM/owners getting a little bit more trigger happy with something that was quieting down. We weren't seeing in-season changes that frequently.
Well, no, but once the first one went, once Derek Shelton went, then it was game on. We talked about it with everybody. Once the first one goes, it's game on. And once Shelton went, then the Rockies like, oh, that looked like a cool thing to do. And then the Orioles, there's been heat on Brandon Hyde since the beginning of the year after not winning a playoff game the last 2 years. And so he went into it, and to start their off to, listen, what happens first? They fire the coaches. What did the Orioles do this offseason? They fired a bunch of their coaches. What comes next? The GM ain't firing himself. So the GM's going to fire the manager and be like, oh, we'll bring in this guy. Hopefully it turns around. And if not, I'll go to the owner and say, hey, man, I got Brandon Hyde was here before me, so I'll give me 5 more years to make this right with my own guy, right? That's how it works. That's what these guys do. So this isn't a surprise. It's a surprise that it's happened this quickly. But Brandon Hyde is not the problem, much like Bud Black wasn't the problem, much like Derek Shelton wasn't the problem. It starts at the top. It comes down to the players got to play. And like Ozzie Guillen always said, good players play, bad players, they hustle. And right now, the Orioles are doing a lot of hustling.
Let's do a show of hands for a poll to get us to break, okay? Raise your hand if you think that Mike Elias should be running the Baltimore Orioles going forward. If you're David Rubenstein, you're the owner of the team, you took over about a year ago, you're trying to bring a fresh breath of air to Baltimore after what was a weird finish to their ownership group, the previous ownership group. Raise your hand if you want Mike Elias running the team moving forward.
Here's my question. I want to know if he can do it, because he's always been the prospect guy, right? He's been the guy who could build a team. In Houston, he was the prospect. We'll get the prospects. We'll do the draft, right? But he's never been able to finish it off. He left, they finished it off, right? So can he finish it off? I don't know that he knows how to do that, and that's what we're finding out right now, that apparently, as of right now, he does not. So the answer to that, I mean, I raised my hand just so I could talk, but I don't know that he's the right answer.
You know how Dombrowski sometimes is that guy? Like, you almost want someone like him right now, where you're like, I need the gunslinger who's going to get the big names.
You need the guy who will trade the prospects. No, you need the guy who will trade the prospects to try to win now. Dombrowski, you say whatever you want about him. He gets his teams to the postseason, and he gets them into the chance to win the World Series. They might not always win it, but he'll trade away assets because he's like, oh, we can find another prospect pitcher. We can find another, whatever. We can find another shortstop down the road in the draft, right? Look at AJ Preller. That's what he's doing. And they seem to keep finding prospects that people want to trade for. So prospects are easy to find. You can always find prospects as long as there's a draft and international signing period and whatever. And you can make a trade, Juan Soto, and get a whole new team. But at the end of the day, can you finish it off? That's what Theo Epstein did twice, right? Dave Dombrowski's done numerous times. Theo Epstein goes out. The Red Sox needed guys. They went out and got them. The Cubs needed guys. They went out and got them. You got to be able to put the finishing touches on rebuilds.
Yeah, especially if you're confident in your ability to find more prospects via the draft and international signing period, which AJ Preller's confident in, Dave Dombrowski is confident in, but they're very self-aware of where their teams are at. And right now for the Orioles, you should be right in the thick of your winning window, at least being a playoff team every year. And that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. A lot more news to get to later. News from late last week, Matt Carpenter retiring. He's coming on at T.
He retired?
Yeah, Matt Carpenter. He retired.
I thought he quit playing years ago.
Oh, well, I'm going to let you intro Matt then. He's joining us next. Kratz, I'm going to let everyone in on a little secret. I am not a fan of carrying around physical cash. I go Cash App, where you can send, receive, or transfer money with family and friends. It's super easy. They've got your back too. Like if you're trying to send some money and you maybe put in the wrong account name, they'll be like, hey, this is a sketchy account. Are you sure you want to send this? Cash App has your back. They do it safe, securely, easily, and fee-free.
And all you got to do is download the app, and Scott can actually pay for his half of dinner.
Exactly. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Download Cash App, sign up. It's very easy, and use our exclusive referral code Territory in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. continuing the storyline here for a couple minutes until we get back from TV break and bring in AJ's buddy Matt Carpenter. Did you guys see what Cedric Mullins said? He was feeling it. He was emotional. I think these guys have had a strong connection with Hyde. This probably is one of the stronger connections, AJ, because Cedric went through some of those really bad years. So he was holding back tears talking about it and said, quote, "I feel like I failed him in a way, just not being able to perform continuously and help us get some wins across the board. I wish I was in the clubhouse for that, AJ. I wouldn't have said this, but I'm joking. I would have been like, can he pitch?"
Here's my thing about Brandon Hyde. He was good enough to get him through the rebuild, right? He was the guy they said, oh, he'll get us through the rebuild. And then he was good enough to get us to the postseason for 2 years in a row. What changed? He didn't change what he was doing. He didn't change the way he went about it. He was doing the same stuff, right? Something changed. I don't know what. The pitchers aren't pitching as good. The hitters aren't hitting as good. Whatever that is, and you can say, oh, you need a new message. But honestly, Kratz, you may disagree with me, but what message does the manager really give you other than, you need a guy who puts you in the right position to win? Other than that, managers they're communicators. And Brandon Hyde's always been known as a good communicator.
You want to know what kind of managing job he did? Go down the list of all the players who were interviewed about him after he got fired. How they reacted. Everybody can say your placards like, oh, we didn't play good enough. The emotion and the way that they feel about the guy shows the connection that he made with the players. Seems like it was A+ to me. Maybe he just didn't quite have the players to complete the games.
And if you're a GM giving a vote of confidence to a manager, it essentially means nothing these days.
No, it means you're getting fired. Whenever you get the dreaded vote of confidence, it usually means you're getting fired quicker.
True. Hey, we're back. And so is recently retired Matt Carpenter. Go ahead, AJ. You can start this one off.
I didn't know he retired. I thought he retired in like 2014. I didn't know he was still playing. What team were you on?
I love it. I heard you shot. I heard you're right. I mean, the retirement's official, but I've kind of been done playing for a few years now.
Well, you know what? It ended when you grew that mustache. That's when it all went. Actually, for about a week there, you got hot, and now Kratz is trying to copy you, thinking his softball league. He could get hot.
I see you, Kratzy. We got a little mustache battle going on here.
I mean, it's not a battle right now. It's like the difference between AJ's career and my career. Your mustache is AJ's career. My mustache is my career. Just give me a few weeks. But
it's a good start.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that.
There's no way your wife likes it. There's no way Mackenzie likes that mustache. There's no chance.
My kids hate it, but Mackenzie's on board with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's changed.
You got to try new things. He's retired. All right. So first off, why did you decide to throw the note out now? And what do you want to do? What do you want to do next?
I just, I felt like more than anything, you just really wanted to thank a lot of people. I mean, I was so fortunate to have so many great teammates, so many great staff members, so many great coaches. And I just wanted to throw a message out there thanking them all. And, the Cardinal fans and the city of St. Louis, Yankees and Padres organization, all giving me opportunities. And, when you get to the end, you're just so grateful for all of the relationships that you were able to build, and just wanted to, put that out there. And, as far as why and the reasoning I think that road came to an end. Playing, was fortunate enough to play for a long time. And now the focus is on my family. And I got two little ones at home, a third grade girl and a first grade son, coaching both their sports and just really enjoying it. I'm not sure exactly what's next and what's in store, but certainly some quality family time is on the horizon.
First of all, before I have my question, any shade that AJ throws at you, just make sure it's because he's jealous of you, because he never officially retired. So he feels like he can still hang on. He's still pulling at the thread. But my question is, now that you are like right away, you are done right now, is there one memory, one thing that you're like, man, that was the coolest thing that I got to experience in the big leagues?
Man, there's a lot, but I think for most guys, that first time in a major league clubhouse, in a big league uniform, on a major league field making your major league debut, that's tough to beat. As a kid that grew up playing baseball, I was the son of a high school baseball coach. We lived at the baseball field. My dream since the time I could walk was to play in the big leagues, just like a lot of kids. And when you actually get that opportunity and you walk through that door for the first time and out onto that field, that feeling is something that will never leave. I'll never forget that feeling. It was a combination of nerves, excitement, a little bit of panic, but a lot of joy. And man, I got to put that at the top of the list.
Carp, you could have said it was playing with me for 2 months. It would have been fine, 3 months actually, but it's okay. I forgive you for that one. It's okay. I understand. You played with other people.
It was a highlight.
You played with other people that were almost as cool as me, so I get it. I totally understand. But I always thought, and this is the one compliment you're going to get from me, is I thought you'd make a good coach. I mean, John Jay, you're a better coach than he is. Descalso, come on. I mean, really? Right? I mean, Matt Holliday might as well be a coach with his 2 kids. I mean, all those guys. Big City, Matt Adams, he's coaching. I mean, you got to be next, right? You can teach the Cardinal way to all these young kids. And then you can tell me what the Cardinal way was.
Oh man, I appreciate the compliment. You're right; it's rare to get one from you, so I'm going to take that. But I could see it happening one day. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. I do love the game of baseball. I feel like coaching is in my blood a little bit. I mentioned just a few minutes ago I was raised by a baseball coach, and I'm enjoying coaching my sons and daughters teams right now. And who knows? Maybe in the future. Something a little bit more serious than 7-year-old all-star baseball might show up.
Did you? I'm going to ask this. Did you expect the Cardinals to play the way they're expecting or playing this year? Because they went into this season, and last year, obviously, were around it, but now they're here and they're over 500. They're playing well. Is this what you expected out of the Cardinals? Because I know when we played together on the Cardinals, they were expected to win every year, right? They tried to win every year. And then for them to come out and say, well, we're not going to spend money, that really was never what the Cardinals did.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they're playing great. Did I think that they would be off to the start that they are right now? Probably not. But I also think, and I was being there last year, I knew that they had good players and they've got good young players and they've got some guys that they wanted to see kind of take that next step. And if that happened, then they had a chance to play well. And that's what's happening. I wouldn't say shock's not the right word. I could see those guys taking those steps and them being a good ball club, and it's happened. And it's great. It's been fun to follow. Keeping up with the teammates and pulling for them every step of the way. Obviously we all know it's a long season. They're going to have to continue to struggle. That NL Central is up for grabs. So hopefully they can pull it off.
You essentially took a 2-year hiatus from the Cardinals, and then you went back. Did you see a difference? Did you see a difference before you left? Like maybe your last year, I think it was at 21 was your last year with the Cardinals, and then you went Yankees, Padres, and then you went back to Cardinals. Did you see a difference between those years in how the Cardinals were like making decisions or anything like that? Or did you start seeing it at the end of your first tenure with them?
As far as difference in what?
Just how like I tell people are like, well, what's the difference in the Cardinals from when you first got called up to the big leagues? Well, besides the fact that they didn't have Albert Pujols or Yadier Molina, to me it was like the pitching wasn't quite what it used to be. Like they used to have like a standard. Every pitcher had to be a 1-2-5 to the plate. Then it was like, well, we'll call up pitchers who kind of throw strikes, but they throw really hard, don't hold runners well. Hitters you guys always had incredible plate discipline. And then it looked like that kind of like, it was like once your era, your group of players, it was like, hey, we're going to kind of find some dudes who really swing the bat neat. And it was like, it just seemed different playing against the Cardinals. Did you see it?
Well, you go through competitive windows in sports, I mean, you look at not just the Cardinals, lots of franchises. I mean, you go through competitive windows where you've got, a run of some really good players coming up through the system and really good coaches. And and careers come to an end and people move on and get traded. And, we had for the when I first got drafted in St. Louis towards the end of 21, we just had this long stretch of really good players and really good seasons. And, we went through a little bit of a hiccup, and now they're, trying to get on the road again, back to that form. I just think it's so hard, and you guys know, to compete at the level that we did in St. Louis for as long as we did, and to just continue that year in, year out. I think that goes through waves. But what I love about this organization is recognizing that, we needed to, pivot and try to find a way to get back to that. And I think they're doing a great job. And I think, it's exciting that this season, when they're supposed to be in a technical, rebuild, they're going out and winning ball games and finding a way to be competitive.
One of the things we talked about all the time in 23 was, why on earth are the Padres not winning? The Padres in 22 went to the brink. It was basically Bryce Harper away from going to the World Series. Was there anything you could put your finger on from the 23 Padres season that, why could they just not get it done?
Matt Carpenter comes to mind. Matt Carpenter, he comes to mind.
Might have been me. That was such a strange year. It was one of those seasons where, we had everything we needed. The pieces were in the room. And what was really odd is, if you look at, statistically, if you were to look at that year, we had a guy who won the Cy Young. Our pitching was elite. Our bullpen was great. Our defense was great. We had Gold Glovers all over the field. Offensively, a lot of guys had good seasons and put up numbers, and it just didn't transfer to the win column for whatever reason. We just never got on that roll. It just felt like we were constantly just grinding to try to find a way to win a game. And, sometimes that happens. I wish I had the answer for you of what exactly it was, but, it just never clicked. We couldn't get hot like we thought we would. It kind of started to show up at the end of the season, but it was just a little too late. And, disappointing season. But, that organization, they are continually getting better every year. And you're seeing it right now with the way that they're playing. It's been fun to watch. Manny and Toddy and that group. Mike Schultz doing a great job with them. AJ, his ability to continue to get players in that organization. AJ was just talking about it, a few minutes ago. So, I don't know.
All right. Let's go back to the Cardinals. Enough about your time with the Padres. When they call you and they say, Matt, we're going to give you a red jacket, are you going to accept? Are you going to accept the red jacket to the Cardinals Hall of Fame?
Well, wow. If that happens, I'm going to have a hard time saying no. Yeah, for sure. I think I would have to.
What do you mean? If you don't think that's going to happen? There's very few players that were more loved when you stepped into the Cardinals batter's box. For the amount of time you did, the amount of walks you took, the amount of singles that you hit, and the amount of times you got thrown out on the bases, like Matt Holliday used to say, Carp, you're not fast. So, you deserve it just for that alone.
Well, I appreciate. I'm not sure if that was a compliment or not, but I do appreciate it. Man, I loved my time in St. Louis. I tried to do my best every time I stepped on the field. Tried to wear that jersey with pride and try to give the St. Louis fans, what they deserved, which was players who got after it when they got on the ball field. And if that happens, I'll be more than thrilled and extremely excited, and obviously, of course, would say yes.
All right. Since AJ hasn't retired, he can't ask this question. But since you retired, is there a story that you can tell now that you're retired? The whole I'm still playing. I don't know if I can tell this story or not. Or is there a couple stories that you can tell now that, you're done?
Okay, well, going on the base running, just to pivot to, add on to what AJ was just talking about, I'll tell you a story one time with Yachty. And this was, I don't know, it's like third or fourth year in the league. And I in my mind, thought I had, been playing pretty good to this point, and felt like I had kind of made my, name for myself as a baseball player, and especially in our clubhouse. And, Yachty was AJ can speak to this, a man of few words, but obviously incredibly respected and feared for that matter. And I can't remember exactly what the play was, but I had made some kind of base running mistake in the game before, and Yachty comes up to me and asked me. He said, "Hey, will you come into the video room real quick? I want to show you something." And I had completely forgot about what this play was, so I had no idea what he wanted to talk to me about. And he calls me into this video room, and he pulls up some video of some. And it's like this highlight reel of all the base running mistakes that I've made in like the last, who knows how many games. And he's like, he's not saying a word. He's just clicking through them. And I'm standing over his shoulder and he's just clicking through each one. And then he turns around and he looks at me and he goes, "You are the worst base runner I have ever played with." And I go, and I like looking at him and I'm like, I can't tell if he's being serious or not. And I'm like, "No, you're not the worst." I go, "Surely I'm not the worst." Yeah, you played for a long time. And he turns around and he goes, "The worst." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is bad. I got to get better."
See, wasn't just Matt Holliday. It was other people too. So see, maybe Matt Holliday does have a future in this coaching thing. He's got two kids that are both going to go top 5 of the draft, possibly 1-1. By the way, we're playing Golden Tee when we were there. Just think about how old you are, Carp, that they were playing Golden Tee in the clubhouse. Now one of them's in the big leagues and the other is going to be probably the first pick in the draft. All right, before we let you go, we got to make a wager. I know you love TCU and their little thing they do, whatever it is. What is it? This? No, wait. Is it this? Not this?
Peace sign.
Oh, yeah. Well, they shoot blood out of their eyes because that'll scare you. Who's going to win more football games this year, TCU or Florida?
Oh, TCU.
Oh, come on.
TCU for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Put your money
What's
where
the
your
wager?
mustache is.
Yeah, what's the wager, AJ?
I don't know. I've been to a TCU game. I've been on the field for a TCU. I watched Dion go in there
AJ,
and stomp them. So
get into those alligator arms one time. Pay Carp his money.
I don't know much about Florida. Are they going to be good this year? I just spoke.
They don't play in the Big 12, so they're going to have a little bit of a tougher schedule. So,
yeah, I'll take that.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll talk about it, but there's got to be a wager. We'll have you back on before football starts, and we'll come up with some sort of a wager.
We'll put something on the line. I like that.
I like it too. Yes, he's got time now. He's retired. You guys can talk about this stuff.
That's right.
All that. Carp, that was a great story, by the way. The Yachty story. That's epic. Appreciate the time, dude. Yeah, would love to hear more of those. Thanks.
Dude,
for
you had to
by.
be there and play with him and watch just Holiday and them just get on him because he would just think he was invisible at times. He would just run. And they're like, "You're not invisible, Carp. You can't just run to the next base and hope they don't see you."
I tried to be aggressive. Sometimes it didn't work out.
Got to take risks. Hey, the overall body of work, the career worked out. So congrats on retirement, Carp. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you back, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
you. Carp.
Matt Carpenter.
Career, seriously.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
FT fam, we'll be right back.
Scott, you need to check out this Roback hoodie I have. It's 85 plus degrees here in Florida. Look, lightweight, feels great, cool colors, perfect for those hot Florida days.
I agree, AJ. Color looks fire. And you can get your own sweatshirt, polo, hoodie. Go check out Roback. And if you do and you're a first-time customer, Roback.com using the code FOUL gets you 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com, code FOUL. Get after it, FT fam. We've got a lot to get to later, including the José Alvarado suspension and the Dodgers cutting bait with another veteran. All that we'll get to, but we're going to sneak this one in for some life support for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've got this epic streak rolling on runs scored 22 straight games scoring 4 runs or less. This was from a couple days ago. The league, this was from Cody Duncan, who covers the team. The league is 149 years old. This team has a chance to be infamous and a stain in baseball history. They still have not gotten there. Do we know what the record is? He said the all-time record. I don't know what the record is off the top of my head, but now they're at what, 24?
Yep.
By the way, so this is funny. My wife says to me, she goes, "Oh, Paul Skeens punched out Harper, like 3 times yesterday?" And I go, "Yeah, they got 2 hits and got shut out and lost 1-0. I go, "That sums it up for the Pirates." I mean, Skeens goes out there and just shoves, right? And destroys the Pirates. Gives up, 3 hits, 1 run, and they lose? I mean, it was ridiculous.
They're like, what, 3 and 6 or 7 or something like that in his starts?
Yeah, but they haven't scored more than 2 runs, I don't think, in any of them. Or it's like crazy.
No.
What is it? It's not a lot. I don't know exactly what the number is, but they haven't scored a lot.
Yep. They have not scored a lot. Just in general, as that stat shows.
Skeens went 8 innings yesterday, 3 hits, 1 run, 9 punchies. L.
And they called it a complete game. His first career complete game.
Well, I mean, it is because they only went 8 innings.
I get it, but
he went as far as he could go.
True.
Welcome to the next 4 years of your life. Wait for the next 4. Congratulations.
In fairness, they're not scoring for Andrew Heaney either.
They're going to have to trade him, aren't they? They're going to have to trade him, aren't they?
But
could turn the organization around. Turn the organization around. Just saying.
In 2 years. Jason La Canfora joining us right now. Appreciate the time, Jason. You can hear him on 105.7 The Fan every day, 2 to 6 Eastern. So he's coming up. So let's get right to biz, Jason. Brandon Hyde out and Mike Elias still running this organization. What is next?
I don't know. Apparently not even a press conference for the GM who went for 10 days to find any sympathetic podcast and microphone he could find to spew his pablum and BS about his faux accountability and his allegiance to Brandon Hyde. And then he fires the guy Saturday morning and suddenly has no time to do anything. There's a lot of fraudulent stuff that's been perpetrated on this fan base for several years now. You can really take it back to the 23 trade deadline, which is when I started seeing right through that warehouse and seeing that there was not only no there there, but there was no soul there. And so I don't know about this owner. Like, do you guys know anything about this owner? Like, he used to spray people with water guns and throw hats at them, let them eat cake. Now you can't even find him. He's got nothing to say about firing a manager. He's got nothing to say about a farm system that's stagnant. He's got nothing to say, I guess, about 6 years of international signings that have maybe produced Sam Pasayo, but nothing else. He's got nothing to say about all of Mike Elias's horrid transactions. He's got nothing to say about these jokers butchering this ballpark twice and having no playoff wins to show for it. Mike Elias is the problem. He's the cancer. He's patient zero. Until they cut him out, this is all BS.
Does it happen? Do they cut him out?
I don't know. I have no idea. I would have fired him with Brandon Hyde. Why didn't you just fire him? You're really going to give him another trade deadline? Like, he's clearly shown he plays favorites. It's all politics. Certain guys get a million chances. Other guys get no chances. Kyle Stowers. And so, if you want to let him keep doing this, I mean, you can. But, I'm old enough to remember this owner with the richest people on the planet from Davos, Switzerland this offseason saying Mike Elias is a genius. He convinced me I don't have to spend money. We don't want to win press conferences. Mike's got the next 7 years of the American League penciled out, and we're good to go. I mean, how do I compete with that? He's completely brainwashed. When is it reality? What really matters? Do you want to talk about the fact that, the Double-A team has a 314 on base? Do we want to talk about that? Their hitting incubator. You want to talk about the high A teams got a 317 on base? You want to talk about that? You want to talk about Vance Honeycutt can't hit high A right-handed pitching, and he was supposed to be a fast starter? It's a joke. It's rotten to the core all the way through. They haven't produced a pitcher yet, but does this guy know? Does he notice? Is he aware? I don't know. But do you think Tony Manzolino's going to fix it? He kept the hitting coaches. I mean, this whole thing is a charade.
So you think Mike Elias is the guy to get him to the next level? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I do. I would. You know what? I think he needs to be the team president. You need to Dombrowski him. Yeah, and then bring in more underlings and let him work this thing even more. I mean, look, they're 57-76 since beating the Yankees in an afternoon game and chasing Luis Hill from the Bronx last June 20th. 57-76. They're 27-40 at home in that span, including the playoffs. Like, you know who's worse than the Orioles at home since June 20th of last year? The White Sox. That's it. They got the same record as the Rockies. You know?
No, not fair. You can't take shots at the White Sox on this
show. No, the White Sox are,
I
mean, at least we know what the White Sox are. They're not trying to propagate a myth. Like, they're doing what Elias did, and Elias did what he did to go back to being the White Sox. It's great. It's genius. Yeah, give him a contract for life.
All right. So, I mean, I do want to know this. Like, what would you have done differently then? Because we talk about Dave Dombrowski and AJ Preller and some of these other GMs that go out. The O. Epstein did it for a couple of times and go out and make the moves they need to make. But what would you have done different than what Elias did with the resources he was given?
Well, we were begging for Evaldi or Pavetta on my show. What would I have done? I know he hasn't had a huge start there. And I think I might have talked about it with you guys a while back. Gunnar Henderson's a third baseman, not a shortstop. Again, we can propagate myths. We can live in Elias world, or we can live in the real world. I would have brought in Willie Adames, got a real shortstop, moved Gunnar to third. Between Westberg or Jackson Holiday, you got a decision to make. Can Jordan Westberg play first base? If he can, why is Ryan Mountcastle still here? Like, I would have never made the Stowers trade. You can go back and listen to my show. I destroyed that trade in real time. Norby was their best second baseman at that time. Stowers was their best right fielder at that time. And Trevor Rogers is a junk 4A arm that was never going to recover, especially not with these guys being the ones to fix them. Who do they fix? I mean, we could go on and on. I panned both of their last two deadlines in real time and said this guy made the team worse. I mean, do you want to defend Eloy Jimenez and Austin Slater? Like, we can. I mean, if you want to take that side. I mean, you tell me what he's done that's been good. Like, you tell me at the major league level. I'm not talking about tanking to pick 5th overall. By the way, the kid they took 2nd overall still can't play corner outfield. I told him that in low A. You can find the text of Mike Elias. Like, bro, I'm watching this kid. Are you going to make him a DH to get the bat up here, Heston Kjerstad? Or if you want to be a corner outfielder, then you better devote a whole lot of time to that. Just go watch him play right field the other day. There's nothing that's happened that I didn't call. Kobe Mayo's not a third baseman. He makes 2 errors. They send him back down to Norfolk. Where do you think he plays the next night? First base or right field where he has a future, or third base because Mike Elias is a genius? Third base because Mike Elias is a genius.
Do they have enough offense that if they weren't down by 3 or 4 runs by the 4th inning every night, do they have enough offense to say, you know what, we can put together at bats?
I was begging for a real bat last year when they were high on the hog, when they beat the Yankees 17-5. Because you want to know their on base since then? In 135 games, their on base is 311. It was 3-run homers or nothing at all. Well, what happens when that dries up? What happens when they don't keep Santander around? What happens when Gunnar Henderson's no longer on a 100 home run pace? Like, and don't even get me started on Ali Rutschman. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is unserious, unprofessional, and farcical to keep batting him 3rd or 4th every night with these quality or lack quality of at-bats. He's also not even an average catcher. Like, he's not even an average catcher. Like, and he's supposed to be the face of this thing. I mean, he responded from last year's atrocity with arguably a worse start to this year. Like, no, they're not an elite. They're not elite at anything. They platoon all over the place. They don't even know how to do player development. Everybody plays 3 positions 2 days a week in the minors. How's that working out for him? Grayson Rodriguez never pitches into the 7th inning in the minors. How's that working out for him? Everybody piggybacks. Everybody gets a participation medal. Nobody goes through adversity. It's a joke.
What happened to Adley? I want to know. I've been on this train for it's been a year now. I mean, it's been like a year now, right? I mean, it's not like this has been a couple weeks and you're like, oh man, you'll bounce back. This started like around June 1st-ish last year. So what happened? Because he was supposed to be the face. He was supposed to be the guy they were going to sign. He was the 1-1. I mean, this was their guy. What has happened? Because I like Adley. I think he could be really good.
I like him too. I think he's mentally fractured. I think he's over-enabled. He had a huge collapse last year. They didn't make him talk to the media. There was zero accountability. They propagated their myth. They kept batting him 3rd or 4th every night. Things got worse instead of getting better. Did they go and get him real help at the deadline? No, like I said, they got Austin Slater and Eloy Jimenez. Like, So that puts even more pressure on the kids. I don't think he was in tremendous shape last year. I do think he showed up in camp in better shape this year, but they also coddled him. Go look at how few innings he's actually caught for someone at the beginning of their career. It became pretty obvious last year he doesn't hit when he catches. So their response to that was the DH more. Bro, they took a catcher 1-1, and who caught game 1 of the playoffs last year? It wasn't Adley, it was McCann, because McCann was significantly better defensively. McCann's in AAA. No, I think Adley shattered in the head. I think he hit major adversity. I think they were ill-equipped to handle it. I think they blew smoke up his backside. I think Freddie Gonzalez, one of the people who was a bit maybe of a bad cop in that organization, he got tossed out at the end of the season, and they've got a younger coaching staff, even less experienced, and they continue to do the same things they've done. Find me the spot where Adley sat for 2 or 3 days in a row. Why is he above that? And at the same time, Cedric Mullins is their best hitter. Cedric Mullins, a top 20 hitter in Major League Baseball against right-handers at home since June of last year. And they had Cedric batting 8th or 9th in the playoffs, and he's the only guy delivering. It's politics. It's shameful stuff. They need a new set of eyes to come in here and figure out who fits and who doesn't. And I got news for you. Adley might not fit. He certainly might not fit at catcher. And if he's going to first base, homeboy better learn to hit the ball hard in the air.
Yeah. Hey, Michael Elias' computer system's not working out well. Last one real quick. I know you got your show. What's next? So what are you trading, right? So if you are taking over this team.
Cedric Mullins, Eflin, Sagano, Jorge Mateo, Ryan O'Hearn. Whatever you can get from Mountcastle, they waited way too long for that. They should have traded when he had 30 home runs. Again, this isn't revisionist history. I talk about this stuff 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And you can check my Twitter feed too. It's all timestamped.
Yeah.
Everything that's not nailed down, Batista, I would absolutely trade Batista. They like doing business with the Phillies. They get fleeced all the time, but it should be, but it can't be him. This guy can't do it. He's the problem. How's the problem going to fix itself when he won't even admit it's a problem?
Yeah, if they're going to go through this trade deadline with Michael Elias, then you're saying he's going to be the guy for the next several years. And I know O's fans like you
I don't know.
pissed.
No, because the White Sox went through a trade deadline and then fired Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams. So
true. How's that working out?
I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. You did compare the Orioles to the White Sox, so maybe they are on the similar paths. Never did that, by the way.
We got to get Jason to his show, but he'll be bringing this today, of course, too. Jason, great stuff.
Yes,
make sure you listen to Jason on The Fan in Baltimore. Give him a follow, too. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Love having you on. All right, FT fan, be right back. There's a lot of failure in baseball, and you should also look at your favorite manager and see how he's doing since he took over whatever job that is, because sometimes you can age fast, you can lose hair, and Kratz, we might have an answer for those stressed out managers, and it is
Nutrafol. You might lose hair, but Nutrafol will help you thicken it back up, and you will look as youthful as the first day you were a manager.
That's right. Many hair supplements overpromise and underdeliver, but Nutrafol is different as the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. So start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol, and for a limited time, you can get $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and then enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. That was heat. And that was
unbelievable.
You don't have to agree with it, but that was educated heat. He watches games, okay? You don't have to agree with everything he said, and you might say, oh, you're going too far, but that's educated heat there from Jason. Respect.
I wish we had more time because I wanted to ask him about what the prognosticators are saying. They're about to get hot. The Orioles are unlucky. I wanted to, but it goes, all the things he said go into my theory that guys who are able to make contact with a lot of balls don't necessarily walk a lot, but can hit the ball hard, don't necessarily get the results, but it makes those numbers go up. Like, oh, he's super unlucky. Like batted balls in play. Like you have to wait to get your ball in the zone to do damage.
expected stats in a vacuum are actual stats, but in real life, they're expected stats, especially when they are short term, right? This isn't over years and years of time. So just saying, oh, someone's got great process and expected stats, like that's good. There's some good indicators there, but they're still losing the games. There's somebody, I don't remember who it is in the baseball world, who says like, yeah, if we're doing everything in a vacuum, no one's alive in a vacuum. It's not real life. You're making fun of it, but it's true. You know, like I'm with you here. The sarcasm is, hey, your computer system's talking about how your players should be playing better than they are based on how they're hitting the baseball and making contact with it. Doesn't mean it's working.
It just means you can find value there, and that's how teams need to use it. Doesn't mean you're winning games. It means you can find value.
Perfect. Yep. Let's sizzle. José Alvarado, done for 80 games, so he'll return late in the season. But wait, there's more. He's not eligible for the postseason. Performance-enhancing drugs, TRT, aka exogenous testosterone, not allowed in Major League Baseball. Not eligible for the playoffs after he returns from the 80-game suspension. Kratz, this is a really big deal reliever for the Phillies, a Phillies team that has a very clear blemish, their bullpen, and now he's gone for a while. How pissed off is Philly right now? You're close enough.
Easily. I mean, so pissed. It happened over the weekend, so it's more of like stuff smattering in. I haven't listened to talk radio today, but definitely pissed. You feel as a fan, people feel like this guy, well, maybe he was just trying to lose weight. Maybe he was just trying to, like, as an outsider, you look at it and you go, this guy cheated. This guy cheated. He knew what he was doing. He was kind of at the end of his contract. He's not a free agent. He had a team option that I think was for like $9 million. He was their closer. He was the guy who, since spring training, I think he had like 6 or 7 innings with like 20 punch outs. He has been awesome. He's been elite. He's always been elite when he throws strikes, and he's been doing that in a shaky bullpen that needed him. Now they really need him, and I love the rule that you can't play in the postseason if you test positive.
Why are we defending this? That's all I want to know. What? Okay, everyone's like, oh, he's overweight, so he went on a weight loss drug. Don't we have like 1 million trainers and 1 million doctors and 1 million of everything that you can get help with all this stuff with? That's what I don't understand. Like, there's people like, oh, he was trying to lose weight. So doesn't this also build lean muscle and also make you stronger? Yes. So, and by the way, you can, if you're having that much trouble, I'm sure you can go to the MLB and say, look, I need to get on Ozempic or whatever everyone else, Majaro or whatever it is that everyone takes to lose all the weight. Like, come on. Like, I just don't understand why, we found, and the Phillies found out about this, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? So they knew about this. Like, this whole thing to me is just crazy that people are now defending, like, oh, well, he did it because he was overweight. Well, I don't care. There's a lot of overweight guys I played with. They didn't take steroids to lose weight. Guess what they did? They ran. They got themselves in shape. They ate better. They went keto. Whatever it takes. I don't know. This to me is just, it sucks. Like, just you can get what you want, whatever you want to stick in your body, you can get it checked 1 million times over.
And Major League Baseball allows guys to get it checked. You can send them what you're taking, and they'll say, yes, cleared. Even if it is not on the list of approved supplements. Because for Major League Baseball players, I forget what it is. It's an acronym. It's 3 letters, but it's approved. And it's on the approved list for Major League Baseball.
NSF certified for sport.
NSF, thank you. NSF certified things are just what they allow. If you get something that's not NSF, you can take a sample of it, send it to the joint program that Major League Baseball has with the union. They will test it, and they say that bottle that you got has nothing in it. It has nothing banned in it. So you can do that. But here's the thing that I think Major League Baseball maybe hasn't educated enough, or maybe I'm totally wrong on this. The last the last, let's go 9 guys that have tested positive for something. Gregory Santos, Hector Santiago, Ramon Liriano, Pedro Severino, JC Mejia, Fernando Tatis, JC Mejia again, Noelvi Marte, Olervis Martinez, Jerickson Profar, José Alvarado. Are we missing something that Latin players are not getting enough information, or are we not giving them enough? Because as a players association and Major League Baseball, we need to make sure that it's not just one group of players that are testing positive.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk to a player about this at some point with the education system. Like, hey, what's going on here that we're missing the boat, right? Because what can a team do, okay? What can a team do? All you can do, you guys tell me, right? When because you both played obviously post testing, right? When the testing era began. Tell me what the process was like. Teams telling you in spring training about what you should and shouldn't do. Teams giving you as many resources as possible during that time period and making sure that you know. Tell me if this is right or wrong. This is the top part of the conversation for me. Do you have every resource imaginable?
Yes. Yes, you have
to
guys that
your
speak
disposal.
Spanish. Yes,
Yes.
you have guys that speak Spanish, guys that speak English. They come in and do a whole thing. It's like Article 21. It's the same thing like with the gambling. They come in and they say they have meeting after meeting and say, and your strength coach and your trainers and everybody, they literally say, do not take anything unless we approve it. Don't take anything unless they say it repeatedly. So I don't, there shouldn't be an excuse on this. Don't take anything.
I think it's the fact that Alvarado and Profar are on teams that were supposed to go to the playoffs and now are not eligible to play in the playoffs. I think Major League Baseball, that rule that was agreed upon is a good rule because now teams need to take it into their own hands.
Oh, Kratz, we
Hey,
lost
Jim.
you for a sec. Hey. Oh, we'll get to Jim in a sec. Sorry, JB. We got a little hiccup there with our process. Kratz just disappeared. Oh, yeah, we got a glitch from our system. All right, AJ and me for a minute here. I want to spin this forward. José Alvarado is not going to be a factor for this team for the majority of the year and for the playoffs. You can't really make significant trades right now. The Phillies are in a battle for, of course, the division and a wild card that's not going to be easy either. They've got a lot of good pieces in place with their starting rotation and their lineup. Their bullpen was already a problem. The Cardinals are good. You might not be getting Ryan Helsley no matter what. The Orioles might not trade away Felix Bautista like Jason La Canfora was telling us because Mike Elias is worried about his own job. There will be arms available at the trade deadline. There always are. AJ, we are more than 2 months away from the trade deadline. There's not that much you can do in the meantime. Could this be a devastating blow to the Phillies? Now, are they going to be a bad team? No. But will they pick up multiple extra losses by not having their guy who throws super, super hard with his sinkers, right? And now we might know a reason why, entering his free agent year nonetheless. And this caused a problem for the Phillies in the late stages of games.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a problem for them because, yes, their major weakness right now is their bullpen. Can they fix this? Yes, but the problem is everyone's going to be looking for bullpen arms. What's the number, usually the number one and number 1A things, power bats and bullpen arms. Every team is looking for power and bullpen arms. So every team gets involved. And now with the wild cards, more teams are involved. So other teams are going to try this and try that and try this. It used to be, there's only a few teams available that are buying and there's more sellers. Well, now there seems like there's more buyers than sellers. So every little arm is going to be more valuable. So do I think this hurts? Yeah. Is it the end all be all? No, because let's be honest, Alvarado could also be not great at times also. So I think it hurts them a lot, but I don't think it's going to cost them a playoff spot because they're really built on their starting pitching and their offense and hitting home runs. So they have to do that. And then they try to figure out the bullpen. That's what they've done for the last few years.
In a position too, because it's not, Scott had said it was his free agent year. It's technically not his free agent year. The Phillies have an option for 26. It's a $9 million option. Now you sit there as an organization after the season, whatever you do in the postseason, you go, do we pay $9 million for a guy that we're not 100% sure is clean? Because that's always out there now. You don't know if somebody's clean. I asked somebody with the Phillies organization if they were surprised. They said, absolutely. They said, this guy is not one of those guys. So now as an organization, do you put $9 million into him as a closer? Him for $9 million, José Alvarado for $9 million 4 days ago was a lock. Sure thing. No doubt you're going to not let him go to free agency. Now you're like, has he been doing it? Is this, what's given him his velocity his entire career? Like he's been the same pitcher his entire career. It's cheese balls and it's going every direction.
Yeah. First of all, how can he not be one of those guys? He's one of those guys who just got popped. Don't give me he's not one of the, you can't say he's not one of these guys. He got popped. Everyone said, oh, Nelson Cruz. I played with him. He wasn't one of those guys. Guess what? He got popped, right? So if you get popped, you're that guy. I'm sorry. If you get popped, you're that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, it puts a stain on your entire career. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yes,
I don't think we're going to see guys get voted into the Hall of Fame in the testing era ever.
They shouldn't be.
Right?
If you get popped
after
testing, you shouldn't be.
Last part here. Kratz, you watch more Phillies games than AJ and I think. So here's the bullpen. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, and if they'll be okay getting to the trade deadline. And then even at the trade deadline, if they don't win, one of the one or two coveted pieces, if they're even available at that point.
They'll be okay because of one stat. No team has used their bullpen less than the Philadelphia Phillies. So it's like having a bad 8 and 9 hitter and somehow you're just like, they just don't get as many at-bats as everybody else. Like you might be able to hide it because their starting rotation, Mick Abel, we're not even talking about that, but tied a franchise record for strikeouts in his first outing. Dudes in their starting rotation go long. So they'll be able to hold that starting rotation, even with Nola out right now, will be able to kind of be the crutch that the bullpen can lean on until guys like Jordan Romano, who are doing much better now from the start, they're going to be able to hold them up. To me, the three guys are at the top there. Romano has to keep doing what he's doing. Strahm is an all-star. Kerkering, he's got to prove it this year to me. He's got to prove it that he's young enough in his career that he has to continue to be able to throw, one, his slider for a strike, and two, a fastball that can get outs in the zone. Because not every time are dudes going to be up there that are going to swing and miss at a slider off the plate. Because they see it now. They've seen it. He's in the big leagues for long enough that guys are starting to make the adjustment, laying off the one away, and they've been able to hammer the one in the zone. So will they be able to do it? Yes. Will Dombrowski go and get a bullpen piece? Yes. Is he going to leverage the minor league system for it? Yes, because that's what he's done. So, yes, I think they'll be fine because of that starting rotation.
Okay. Let us know any thoughts in the comment section if you're checking this out after the fact. Coming up next, Front Office Unfiltered, perfect time for it. We'll go over the Alvarado suspension, Brandon Hyde getting let go by the Orioles, and more with Jim Bowden on standby.
You've played with some talented teams before. You made the postseason with the White Sox, obviously last year's Padres team, 93 wins, took the Dodgers to 5 games. This team definitely seems to be one of those, again, just super talented. Everything's clicking. How does this team kind of stack up for you with some of the other teams you've been on?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the most fundamental and clean baseball I've consistently seen. Last year's team obviously was great. We were especially the second half, but overall, it really feels like we very rarely shoot ourselves in the foot. And there's honestly a lot of games to be won that way. Baseball is one of those games where when you watch it looks, especially at a high level, we make it look easy, but it's still a very challenging game, and one little mistake can lead to 2-3 runs. So, the fact that for the most part we're able to limit that, I think that's one of the things that really one of the superpowers of this team for sure.
That's Dylan Cease on Friar territory. Kyle Glazer running the interview. If you want to check that out, it is available now wherever you get your pods. Just type in Friar, Friar territory. And Kyle's on with Mike Cameron often. Also Heath Bell. Kyle does an awesome job. He is super dialed in on the Padres. It's one of our newest shows. Give it a look. AJ, you followed Dylan Cease for a while. He looks like he's got the San Diego look going a little bit more now. A little more hair. It's got a little more wave to it, right? It's maybe some from some beach time, like some sea salt. Got more beard action going. Dylan Cease is growing up. He used to have the baby face going when he was first with the Sox, right?
I mean, it's hard not to enjoy playing in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those places where you don't really hear too many people go there and say, man, I really hated my time in San Diego. Now, they might not have played very well, but they usually think they have a pretty good time in San Diego, the city, the beach, the weather, all that. So, yeah, he's enjoying his time, and we'll see where he ends up next year.
The only thing I used to hear was that some players couldn't handle it. It's not like it's like this party central, but almost like, sometimes other leagues have issues where guys can't handle being in Miami, right? For party issues. But with San Diego, it's like guys go to the beach, they get distracted, and, you can be in other parts of the country where that's not the case. Do you guys feel that way at all with not you guys, but with other people that you were around? Because the Padres felt like sometimes would get a player who just was kind of chilling, and you're like, hello, you want to shake them. Like, are you there? Front office unfiltered time with our resident GM, Jim Bowden. JB, great to see you. Let's start with Brandon Hyde, fired by the Baltimore Orioles, something that you told us about several weeks ago, and that here we are, it happened. But now what? Now what for Baltimore, right? If you're in that seat, first of all, what are you doing with this team? And second of all, do you think that Mike Elias is the guy moving forward for this new ownership group to keep trusting?
So, yeah, I'll give you my opinion here. I'm going to start with this. I texted Mike Elias after the news came out about the firing, and I told him that I know it was a difficult decision. I said, I think you did what had to be done. At the same time, I know it's the worst part of the job of being a GM or a president is having to fire the manager or releasing a player. That's the worst part because you're firing a friend, you're firing a family, and although you think the relationship can stay the same afterwards because it's a business decision, it really doesn't. And so the whole process is terrible. That being said, the important thing that I texted him afterwards was it's not about who you fired, it's about who you hire to replace him and the difference and the impact that next person gives. Now, I wasn't aware at the time that he was hiring Tony Mansolini to be the interim manager for the rest of the year. At the time, I did not think that was what they were going to do. So let's talk about when you fire a manager in season, what has to happen. One of two things. Either one, you better win more games with the next manager than you did with the one you have. Or number two, you're making the change because in order to win next year, you've got to make the change now to prepare for it because the approach or the process or the plan or the strategy that is implemented now isn't working and you don't think is going to work. So in this particular case, the Orioles have zero chance of coming back and getting back into this race because they don't have any pitching. You don't have pitching, you can't win. I don't care what your lineup looks like. It's not going to happen. And with the Orioles, you're looking at Corbin Burns is sitting in Arizona. Grayson Rodriguez is on the injured list. They're your two best starters. Charlie Morton's 0-7 with a 7.6 ERA. Kyle Gibson just got designated for assignment with a 16 ERA. And Dean Kramer and Cade Povic's ERAs are north of 5, and they're not going to be able to turn it around with what they have. They're just not. So the key is the new manager going to come in and make a difference? Now, when we heard Mansolini's comments after the game, and by the way, he didn't talk to the media before the game, only after the game, which made no sense, I was shocked when the media said, what was your message to the team? And his response was, I didn't have a message, but I'll have one in the next couple of days, I'm sure. Well, what are you talking about? You don't have a message. You've been there the whole time. You don't have a message of telling the players that you got the manager fired? You're not hitting, you're not pitching, you're not catching the ball, or you don't have a message to say, hey, we're going to change things and this is what we're going to do. That's concerning to me. Now, you asked me what I would do. All right, number one, they don't have players in the right position, right? I mean, Gunnar Henderson should be at third. Jackson Holliday should be at short. Westberg should be at second. They should give Mayo first base and Kerstedt left field and let them play every day. So in November, we know if they can play or not, if they're going to hit or not. It's okay to not platoon at every single position and have all this quote unquote positional flexibility. So I think they need a different approach here. Now, if I were the GM, I would be hiring outside the organization to bring in a different voice, a different approach, a non-biased opinion. And whether that's a proven guy like Skip Schumacher, who won Manager of the Year with the Marlins, or whether it's AJ Pierzynski, who brings that edge that clubhouse could use, to me, you had to bring in somebody outside, Scott, and that's kind of how I view the Orioles.
Can a manager who's 42 years old, never been a manager, that's now the interim manager for the entire year, make those decisions? Would you allow that as a GM to be like, oh, well, what do you think should be the changes? Because Mike Elias isn't going to make those changes that you were talking about, Gunnar Henderson III, Jackson Holliday. But a guy like Manzo, who's been there, should see that if he's going to take the organization in a different direction. But could he make those decisions, or is he like, wow, I'm so glad I got this job, I'm a puppet?
Yeah, I don't know what the case is. I mean, we're going to find out. But what I don't understand is if you're hiring him, then I'm assuming you're hiring him to do things differently, right? I mean, Brandon Hyde did win 90 games, 100 games. He did get the playoffs the last 2 years. He did win Manager of the Year, right? So this team isn't winning not only because of their pitching, but talk about the core players that aren't performing, right? Gunnar Henderson's hitting 258, Adley Rutschman 209, Westberg 217, Kowser 125 before he got hurt. Like, your core guys aren't performing. That's the problem, because you need the core guys to hit. So in the offseason, you're just fixing the pitching. Like, you need this lineup, these young players, to play every day and to perform. So I don't know what Tony's bringing to the table. Now, from my experience, I would rather hire a veteran manager that's proven he can win to go in there and stabilize the situation, but come with a different approach. I want him to tell me what the plan is. I want someone to be looking at this team and telling me, hey, look, this team's using too much analytics. This team is too focused on what the front office is sending down to do. Or these players are out of position. Or this is how I would handle the bullpen differently. Like, I want the plan. I want to know what you're going to do and why. Because if I make a change, you don't make a change just to make a change. You make a change to get better, to improve either today or tomorrow. And in this case, the change has to be made for tomorrow because this team doesn't have the pitching to win now.
But didn't we know this was coming, Jim? When they fire a Freddie Gonzalez, they fire some of the coaches, they bring in new coaches, they bring in all these new people. And yes, you can say what you want about Mansolino and him not knowing what he's doing, but he's just happy to be a big league manager. He's like, oh, wow, I'm a big league manager. I wasn't prepared for this. So I get all this stuff you're saying, but this is just kind of par for the course, it seems like, with the Orioles.
Well,
how does Mike Elias turn this around? Because we've talked about it on here numerous times. Is he a closer? Is he a finisher, right? Yeah, he got you lots of prospects, but he's scared to death to trade these prospects. He's scared to make the move. And every move he made this offseason backfired, right? From Tyler O'Neill, who's always been hurt. He's hurt again this year, right? The pitchers he brought in at the end of their kind of career, instead of making the bold move, yes, he did it for Burns last year, but I thought they should have done anything they could to make him stay in Baltimore, want to stay in Baltimore. They didn't do that. So how long of a leash now does Mike Elias have? Because Rubenstein, you can say what you want, but at some point he's going to get tired of this and say, man, I'm pouring money into a losing product. So now is it all on Mike Elias?
Oh, it's all on Mike Elias, and it's not a big leash. He's got to do it right here, right now. When you make a managerial change like this, when you don't have a good enough team to turn around, now it's on you. So make sure the manager you're hiring is the right hire that's going to make an impact. Make sure when you get to the trade deadline, look, this is a trade market that doesn't have a lot of sellers that have a lot of assets to trade. The Orioles will have a lot of assets to trade, whether that's Ryan Mountcastle or Ryan O'Hearn or Cedric Mullins or Felix Bautista or Yaniel Cano, Zach Eflin. They're going to have pieces that contending teams are going to want. Mike Elias, if this team doesn't turn around and win, which, as I've said, my opinion is it can't because of the pitching, okay, you've got to take these 5 or 6 assets that you have. You need to turn them into 12 prospects. And you need the new administration, the new field staff, to come out and get Gunnar and Rutschman back to what they are, which are all-star caliber players. You need Holiday, which they've done a good job with him, without a doubt. The mechanics are much better. Getting rid of the big leg kick and going to the toe tap, that's been huge. But look, you got to get Mayo and Kerstad delivering. Those are 2 of your best prospects. Mike Elias has to have them deliver. He has to stop platooning. And when he makes a mistake like O'Neill and Sanchez, you know what? Fix it. Move it. Go. If somebody wants O'Neill at the trade deadline, bye. Like, he is on the clock. And if he's just going to bring in Manceline and then not make trades and think this is going to turn around, then guess what? Mike Elias will have a different job with a different organization come Christmas.
Well, one of the things you can do at the trade deadline, trading Bautista up to the Phillies, because clearly Mike and he's got a express line directly to Dave Dombrowski's phone, and Dave Dombrowski is definitely looking for some pieces with Alvarado getting his 80-game suspension for trying to lose some weight.
Yeah, it is a good match without a doubt. Now, I think obviously the encouraging thing with the Phillies is how good Jordan Romano has been, right? He hasn't given up a run his last 8 appearances. We know Matt Strom is an all-star here. Orion Kirkering has potential. I don't know where the walks are coming from and why he doesn't pitch ahead a little bit more. I like Banks. He's done a decent job, but there's not enough depth there. And so, yeah, look, I had Dave Dombrowski on my radio show a week ago Sunday. He said, look, my biggest need is a right-handed reliever. And so, look, I know Dave well. He'll go get that piece. I think they were kind of eyeing Ryan Helsley, but now that the Cardinals are in it, that probably won't be an option. But besides the Orioles, there'll be a Kyle Finnegan of Washington available. There's always going to be relievers available. Dave will get the depth there. But this José Alvarado test, and I want to get you guys need to help me kind of understand this, because it's really annoying, I think, from a front office perspective, when players never take responsibility and we sit there and we make excuses like we're taking a weight loss medicine. Like, anyone that's in the world right now is either taking Ozempic or Wegovy. They're certainly not taking some pills. And by the way, both of those are available in the Dominican Republic and in Latin America drugstores. Like, I'm not understanding why we keep making excuses. Like, he cheated. He used the PED. And it just drives me nuts. And this is huge for the Phillies. What was he, 7 for 7 in conversions? I mean, he throws 100. When he's throwing strikes, he's deadly. And now you won't have him for the postseason? I mean, I don't know. It just drives me crazy. And I don't know why players, if you make a mistake, can't go to the podium and just own up to it. It drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but now you have a $9 million option on this pitcher. As a
Bye.
GM, you let him go.
Yeah, bye. Yeah, I'll replace him. I'll spend the money elsewhere. I'll spend $6 million more and get a better closer. There's going to be 10 closers on this free agent market. In fact, I have an article going up tomorrow on The Athletic ranking the top 70 free agents in this year's class. There's 10 closers out there that are going to be out there, and I'll upgrade over Alvarado. But you're going to test positive? Bye. Go do it somewhere else. I have no interest.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for saying what you just said, because I said the same thing. Like, what? Weight loss? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, that's where ringworm with Tatis? Oh, I had ringworm? Like, are we kidding? Like, who are we kidding here? And then we get people that say, oh, well, the Phillies guy said that he wasn't this guy. Guess what? You're this guy. You cheated. You're a cheater. Yeah. I said when I was in Texas in 2013, I love Nelson Cruz as a guy. But guess what? He got popped. Guess what he is? He's a freaking cheater. And he said it was for a parasite in his stomach. Or what? You know what? There's a million guys. Please, and I just said this. It comes in English. It comes in Spanish. It comes in Japanese. They will tell you over and over in spring training and throughout the year, don't take anything, guys, that we don't approve, that doesn't have NSF on the bottle. Make sure you only take certain things. We'll give you, heck, teams, this, big league teams will give you whatever supplements you want. You want a weight loss drug? I guarantee you he could have gone to a doctor in the Phillies somewhere and they would have said, hey, we'll help you with this, whether it's nutrition, whether it's whatever it needs to be. But don't give me like, oh, I didn't know what I was taking, and oh, I was trying to lose weight, because that doesn't fly because there's too many resources out there.
Yeah, verbally repost everything you just said. I'm with you, and I don't tolerate it. I don't want that in my clubhouse. I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are. I'll get somebody else. Culture matters to me. Integrity matters to me. So I don't have to look at it and watch it. I'm really disappointed. I'm sorry for the Phillies, but no, I wouldn't pick up the option. Goodbye. Thanks.
All right, let's go across the country to the Dodgers. We had a kind of heated debate about the Dodgers bringing up their prospect Dalton Rushing and getting rid of Austin Barnes, saying, well, Dalton Rushing was doing this, this, and this in AAA. He's been kind of squashed behind there. Now we're going to bring him up to be our backup catcher to Will Smith. To me, they made the wrong move. To me, they should have kept Austin Barnes, because if they need depth, now Dalton Rushing has not been playing. As a GM, do you see it differently?
Yeah, I probably do in this particular case. I kind of feel like, you have to stay young in this game. And I kind of felt like the Dodgers held on to Chris Taylor too long, as an example. And I kind of feel like with Dalton Rushing, it's unfair to a 24-year-old kid that can hit at his level and is decent behind the plate. It's unfair to continue to have him blocked by a player that's not as good as he is at this point. And I know how important Barnes has been, and I know how great makeup. Pitchers love to throw to him. He was Kershaw's personal catcher. I get all that. But the truth is, it's not fair to Rushing. And if what are you going to keep him down there till he's 30? I mean, at some point at 24 years old, when you've been there, there's no point in having him in that league. So either trade one of your catchers or you got to make room. And they made the decision. And look, this is something that a lot of teams are doing right now. And I think what Andrew Friedman did was look at his really good friend who used to work for him in Atlanta, Alex Anthopoulos, and he's watching how well this Drake Baldwin, Sean Murphy, it's not, they don't call it a platoon, but, shared catching spot is. And I think the Dodgers have looked at this saying that, sharing, the catcher spot with these two guys can work and will work, and it's time to go there. And Rushing gives them a better chance to win at this point in his career. I think Barnes is 35. Having the 24-year-old and getting younger gives them a better shot to win, and that's why they made it. It's just like Andy Pages. I thought last year, they should have moved on from Taylor and given it to Pages then. They waited, and that's okay. But at some point, guys like Pages and Rushing need their pathway, need the runway, and the front office has to open up the room. So to me, to move Taylor and Barnes for Rushing and Pages, your team got better, and you're doing the right thing for your prospects as well.
But do you call a prospect up that's not going, never has Rushing not gotten at bats? And to me, you could put a lot of really good players into non-starting roles and they become below average players. Isn't there a fear of that, especially with the numbers that Rushing was putting up, playing every single day in the minor leagues, now playing every other day?
No, I get that, and I think it's there. But I think you got to ask yourself, what is Barnes giving you coming off the bench in the games that he catches, and how do you think that's going to compare to Rushing? Yeah, it's going to be adjustment, and it won't be easy. And look, rookies that have the runways, and we look at Aaron Judge, who struck out 50% of the time his rookie year, playing every day. Mike Trout at under 200 in his first call up, playing every day. So it's really hard for a rookie anyway, as you guys know. I mean, you guys are big leaguers. I mean, you know how tough it is. You never see this kind of pitching for 9 innings every day until you get to the big leagues. It's the only time you ever get to see pitching of this level, and it's not easy. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenge for Rushing. But I think at the end of the day, again, you have to look at the age, what he's done in the farm system. He's not going to beat out Will Smith, and you're not going to make him the everyday first baseman or DH. So the only pathway is to back up Will Smith and play part-time. So, is it time to give him that opportunity? And the answer is, yeah, it is. So, I agree with that decision.
I'm with you. I was going against these guys, but I'm with you. We'll let the debate rage on here. And I did do a little extra homework over the weekend from some people that are around the Dodgers every day. And they said, don't sleep on the fact that Will Smith will sit more than many other catchers will, and they would like to see that going forward too, to see if they can optimize him being at his best towards the end of the season. Not everyone's built like these two houses, AJ and Kratz. Some of these catchers are fading late in seasons. It's becoming a trend, and then you're seeing really down performances from them in the postseason. So, hey, not saying if it's going to work or not, but just throwing that out there. That's what I heard from some people around the team. JB, awesome stuff. Great to have you on. Appreciate it as always. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Give JB a follow on Twitter as well. We'll be right back to go over Soto's return to the Bronx. Do you disagree with that? And again, I'm just the messenger on this one. Do you think that they should be playing him more? There is concern that, he's fading late. He's playing every October. How can we just help the longevity? This is a 10-year asset now for us.
No, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem as much with that. It's more of, are you stunting Rushing's growth? And listen, if they're going to play him 2 or 3 times a week, then it's not really stunning his growth. I mean, in the past, Barnes was catching like 1 game a week. So if he's going to catch 2 or 3 games, 4 games a week, every once in a while, then this is a better situation than just having him come up and doing the Austin Barnes role, which basically Austin Barnes just caught Clayton Kershaw, and then Rushing got Kershaw's first start the other day. So,
yeah, I heard about once per series, Kratz, for Rushing. That's not bad.
That's once every 3 days. There's no DHs to be had, clearly. And
No.
when they called him up, I just didn't see less of Will Smith. To me, I think Will Smith behind the dish on an everyday basis makes them a better team. No matter who's out there. This guy's hitting almost 340. He's almost got 1,000 OPS, 173 OPS plus. He is producing. Are you saying, we got to make sure he doesn't get tired in the second half?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously nobody wants to do that, but to what expense? To what expense, or how do you know that's going to work? I bet AJ would have been a worse player if you played him less. AJ's a fringe Hall of Famer, but I bet he would have had worse numbers if he didn't play as much. I'm going out on a limb. AJ might say different, but I don't know. He also would have been an ass if he was on the bench more too. So.
Right, that's true. But also, everyone's different, AJ. I mean, some of the modern catchers just want a little extra time, and also they can say whatever they want. If teams are seeing offensive production dip in the last couple months of the season on a consistent basis, they're going to be like, hey, let's try something else. We've got a guy who I think can pick up starts, and we won't skip a beat too much, like Baldwin's doing for Murphy.
Yeah, but Baldwin's performing, and Rushing has done okay so far too. So, listen, yeah, I mean, I wanted to play every day, and it was a different time, though. Now it's like 100 games for a catcher is a lot, right? It was a different time when I was playing. I was like, I want to play 162 because that was the way you were told to do. Like, this is what you wanted to be. You wanted to be the guy that played every day. It's not like that anymore. These guys are taught, hey, if you catch 100 games, man, that's it. That's the limit. It's crazy to me.
What's the beef? Well, there was a ton of beef in the Bronx this weekend. I mean, that was fun. That was good, clean, mid-season fun. Yankee fans all over Juan Soto. Yankees win the series. They're playing good ball. Saturday's game was a 1-run contest, and it was really good, right? The other two weren't as close. Saturday was really good. That was just a good ball game that I watched more of that one than the other two. But AJ, thoughts on the reception for Soto? And really, I don't want to overlook the fact that Mets-Yankees, I feel like, is elevating now.
The reaction to Soto was fine. Kind of what we thought was going to happen. I love that they turned their back on him. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. It almost was like better than them booing him because everyone expected, oh, they're going to boo him. They're going to boo him. And they were just like, yeah, we don't care enough about you to give you a reaction either way. I thought that was awesome. You know what was weird to me, and I really watched the game last night? He doesn't look like the same player. Like, where's the Eddie Perez kept saying it last night, like, where's the shuffle? Where's all this stuff? he's not doing that stuff anymore. Is there something different about Juan Soto now that he's signed? Because that was like his thing, right? Like, oh, he shuffles. He doesn't care who's pitching. And last night he didn't do it. And even Eddie Perez on the ESPN said it a couple of times. Like, this is where he would normally do the Soto shuffle, and he didn't. So I don't know. Did something change? Did the Yankee fans get to him that much that he didn't play the way he normally has played for the past, 7 years? I don't know. It was weird to me. But you know what? Great job, Yankee fans. And it was just an awesome series from both sides in the way both teams played.
One other note, Kratz, before you jump in. I didn't read the article yet, but I'm trying to remember who it was. Maybe Petriello. I don't want to call someone's random name out there, but read what you want into bat speed. The big power hitters have significant bat speed, and it's not about like leading the pack necessarily in that category. But if you do track a guy from year to year and you see a difference, it's worth an article. So apparently he's got one of the biggest dips in bat speed from last year to this year. He should be in the prime of his career. So I don't know. I wonder if there's something there.
I don't know. I'm glad it didn't have bat speed stuff, because I would have never gotten a chance. All that bat speed, if it changes from year to year, like, you go out and perform. He's not hitting to his potential yet. I'm going to go out on a limb, bat speed, no bat speed, park adjusted, whatever. Juan Soto's going to be fine. This is a dude he's had second halves in seasons where his on-base percentage is over 500. He's going to be fine. I think his OPS is over 800 still. I personally agree with what he did. I love the fact that they were booing him in his first at-bat, and he took his hat off. He knows they loved him there. He knows they loved him. He knows probably 70% of the people who are booing were trolling him and were cheering him last year in the playoffs, into the World Series. He knows what he meant to those fans. But I also thought I love the turn to back to him. That's like a high school basketball. They're announcing the other team, and like everybody puts up their newspapers to act like they don't see him or hear him, or they turn their back to him. I loved all of it. And I thought they were all good games. Even last night's game was close until Belly hit the dinger.
True. Yeah, and Belly's on fire, by the way, which is great news for the Yankees, right? You can kind of blend in a little bit more, as crazy as it sounds, with the Yanks. I feel like Bellinger's getting less attention this year than he got in his Cubs years. Maybe because he was the guy they were looking up to as the guy to carry them out of offensive slumps, AJ. And here, you're no Aaron Judge. I mean, you just do your thing, man, and he's doing his thing, right? The 4-2 game obviously extended once Belly hit that grand slam and made it 8-2. Max Fried, who has been maybe the best signing of the offseason, looked like his Cy Young self again. So what do you think of Belly starting to turn it on?
Good for him. The best part of that was they were talking about after Judge struck out. They're like, oh, the Yankees are going to waste an opportunity. Whack, first pitch, Belly goes deep, grand slam. So listen, good for Cody. I've always liked Cody. I think he's been really good, and he's been, very average at times. But when this guy's right, he's as good as it's fun to watch. He swings hard. He can play a great center field. He can play a great first base. And you know what? Maybe going to a place where doesn't have to be, quote, the man was a good thing for him. Look at Goldschmidt, right? Goldschmidt's having a bounce back year because he's not the man in St. Louis. They're like, you got to drive in the runs. You got to get all the big hits. Guess what? They have a guy named Aaron Judge that's there for that. So it's a nice place, not necessarily to hide, but you don't have the spotlight all on you at the time.
Yeah, yet Belly has played in big markets. So it's not like he's playing here and doesn't know how to handle a big Chicago or LA crowd. And I know New York's different, but I mean, he's played in some big markets for some very competitive teams, and he's streaky. He's one of the streakier players in the sport, right? You've seen him in his prime be an MVP and then fall off the map. And yeah, he's had some injuries too that probably were in the way of that, but the Yankees are fine. They're in a good spot. I just thought that was a really fun series to follow over the weekend. Yankee fans were doing their thing, but no one did anything too stupid. So as far as I know, well played by both sides there. All right, we'll swing back. We have a lot to get to with Better Than Box Scores from other things we missed from the weekend. BetMGM locks. What happened? Oh, first off, free game of the day coming your way tonight. It's Kansas City and San Francisco. Should be a good one. Live streaming available to all BetMGM customers logged in with funded accounts. Kratz, Friday, what happened?
Oh, baby. The FT parlay hit. Just always put together everybody's picks. FT parlay. Big knocks for the boys.
Yes. Yankees won for Todd Father. Arizona scored enough for Pap. Twins kept the winning streak going, at least on Friday for Kratz. And I was sweating a little bit. That was probably the biggest bet I've ever placed on this show. And the Phillies were down 4-2 to the Pirates, but ended up cruising past them. The Pirates are just a mess. Their bullpen was a disaster late in that game against the Phillies, walking in a run, hitting I don't remember who it was, hitting someone with a pitch, whatever. It was a fun game to watch. Obviously, you're putting money down on it. So money bags. Kratz is down. Everybody else is now in the green. AJ, you're up.
I have a kind of a weird one today, or a long one. Max Keller over 17.5 outs against the Reds. The Reds don't swing it great, and he's been pitching pretty decently, especially in Pittsburgh. Ryan Pepio over 17.5 outs in Tampa. And last but not least, Colorado batters are going to strike out over 9.5 times. They average almost 10 strikeouts per game. They're facing Christopher Sanchez, who can punch him out with the best of them. And I'm betting 100. That's plus 376. So I need some outs and I need some strikeouts.
Okay. And Sanchez is in Colorado, but you're still okay.
Yeah. I'm fine with that because the Rockies strike out at home. They strike out on the road. They strike out everywhere.
And Andy throws a changeup. What doesn't work in Colorado? Four-seam heaters. He's sinker, which might cut. It might cut in Colorado, but they're still going to swing and miss. I like it.
There you go. Kratz, you want to sneak in your pick too?
Yeah, I'm going under in the Cubs-Marlins game and parlaying that. It's under 9, and I'm parlaying that with the
A's.
The ATHs, Sacramento, to win the game. Money line for the A's, and I think it's coming out at plus 205. 208. Thank you.
I got your back. Plus 208. I could do mine too. I mean, just nice and quick. I got Cincinnati just getting back on track, actually. Nothing against Keller, but the money line, I mean, we're close to even money here. They're minus 118 to win the game against Pittsburgh. So even if Keller pitches well, AJ, maybe they get to their bullpen. Reds have a better offense than the Pirates. So we'll see what happens. We'll get Pap's pick later. All right, let's hit better than box scores, and we'll start with the Red Sox, who had an entertaining weekend, AJ, after they were playing a little bit down and lost to the Tigers, got swept. Rafael Devers' drama kind of continues, even though there hasn't been much publicly about it. The drama continues because Kristian Campbell might end up being their first baseman. Devers, by the way, had the big walk-off on Saturday. He looks like one of the better DHs in baseball, so some people are starting to be like, maybe we don't mess with this. And Cora is talking about how first base is not as easy as you think, which I think is also code for I don't think Devers will be good at this, even if he tried. So what do you think about the more athletic and younger, and I'm happy to be here, Kristian Campbell, trying out first base so that maybe David Hamilton can play second. Eventually Marcelo Meyer can come up and either him or Story can play second and short. Thoughts?
I like it. I mean, listen, Kristian Campbell's young. He'll play wherever they want him to. Rafi Devers is happy at DH. It seems like he's swinging the bat much better as the DH. He's getting used to it. Yeah, sure. If it makes the team better, then I think Kristian Campbell will do whatever he can. First base, listen, everyone wants to make first base either really easy or really hard. It's kind of in between, right? If you can play second base, I feel like you should be able to play first base. Now, listen, as for someone like me that only played catcher, first base would have been really hard because I just wouldn't have been used to it. And I'm not used to being on the dirt and moving around and using my feet and catching ground balls. But I feel like for a middle infielder guy like Kristian Campbell, this could be an easier transition than others. And if it makes the team better and they bring up Meyer or they can put Hamilton there, then, yeah, this seems like something easy.
AJ talking about people who moves to first base. The reason everybody, I think, has the misstep of, he wasn't a very good left fielder, so we'll just move him to first base. Look at Bryce Harper. He moved to first base. Bryce Harper is athletic. You can't just move anybody to first base. So I agree with AJ that Kristian Campbell, if you teach him exactly what's there, because I'm sure Kristian Campbell, being the athlete, being the future big league prospect that he's been his entire life, has never played first base. So learning the little intricacies of waiting to stretch for every ball, how to get to the bag without looking down at it and understand the ball might still be on its way, how to drop step, how to not go to your right so that you're not vacating first base bag. Like, there's a lot to learn, but he's athletic. I think he'll do fine.
And remember, Kristian Campbell was one of those guys when he first got the call by the Red Sox who was like, wait, I get my own hotel room. We're traveling private on the team plane. It's a pup who's excited to be in the bigs. And of course, then signs the extension. So he's mostly concerned about the team than his individual accomplishments, right? I mean, I think some of those things do lead to it being an easier conversation with Campbell, let alone the fact that, I think personally he can handle the position better than Devers. I don't want to sleep on the fact that Rafael Devers is one of the best hitters in baseball, but was one of the worst defenders in baseball for years. For years. I think the Red Sox always saw him as a future DH, and it was just a matter of when, not if. Is it earlier than we thought? Sure, but it's not his thing. And he's doing well in the DH spot. So now I'm like, we went back and forth on a lot of things during that time period for a week when he said he doesn't want to play first, but it actually might be the best scenario for all sides to have something like this work out. All right, let's get to the Royals. They lost 2 starters in the past, 48, 72 hours, and they're 2 of the top 5 last year in Cy Young voting. Reagans is off to a slower start, although this injury could be a part of it. Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans both to the shelf, and it's a left groin strain for Reagans. Apparently it's been bothering him for a bit. Sprained middle finger for Seth Lugo. Royals have been streaky, actually, as a team, AJ. I mean, they had the 6-gamer at one point in mid-April, and then they won, 16 out of 18, I want to say. Something crazy here. I got it. 16 out of 18, and then now they're in a rut again. So thoughts on if the Orioles are going to be okay?
The Royals, I think, they're over 500. They're 26 and 22. As long as their bullpen sticks together, I think they'll be fine. They're going to need innings. Walker needs to stay healthy. But yeah, losing Reagans and Lugo is a big blow to this team. But Bubic has been really good for them. I don't think this kills them, but they're in a tough division. I mean, there's 4 teams over 500 in the AL Central, and then there's the White Sox. So I think they're going to be okay. They're going to be in it till the end. JJ Piccolo will go out and make a move if he has to as the trade deadline gets closer. But this isn't ideal. They need these guys back as quick as possible.
They need to just play the game that they have been built to play. I mean, I think they strike out the second least of any team in baseball. I think they need to up their on-base percentage as an offense, but we're talking about losing 2 of your starters. What team can lose 2 of their starters, let alone 2 that essentially carried them last year? And it's going to really, to me, it's really going to test the depth of their bullpen, because these guys were going out there and giving them length and giving them innings 2 out of every 5 times through the rotation. It's going to really test it, because they're not going to sit there and let different guys go as deep as Lugo and Reagans were going. So I think it's really going to test that bullpen, because they're just not blowing teams out. You're playing a lot of close games. Even during that 15-2 stretch, it wasn't a lot of runs being scored, which puts more pressure on your pitching.
Yeah, that is a really good division, the American League Central, in a different way, right? But the AL Central is really good. NL West, obviously, I think is probably the best division this year, but the AL Central stands out, just like they did last year. Lastly, AL West, the Astros are missing Yordan Alvarez, and this has seemed to come up year after year. Chandler Rome, who covers the team for The Athletic and, of course, hosts Crush City Territory, brings this up, as do many others. But you've got fans like, what's up with Yordan Alvarez? And Chandler Rome's tweeting, hey, is this going slower than expected? He asked Joe Espada. Espada said, I just want to make sure it's completely going away. We don't want to go back to where if he feels something again, we have to start the whole process. He said it's there, but every day feels better, and then you've got other fans replying to Chandler being like, yeah, that's what they said last year about Kyle Tucker. I actually think this just goes to an organizational / medical staff decision from the Astros in particular, AJ, who say, we're not going to give you much. It's almost football style, even though it doesn't really affect things the same way, right? Like if a guy's hurt in football or hockey and then he comes back or he's playing, you can pick on him. Like, that's not really a thing in baseball. So I think from a fan perspective and even from a beat writer perspective, they're like, why can't you just tell us what's really going on? Like Kyle Tucker didn't have, a little boo-boo on his knee last year. He had a fractured, shin or something like that. It was a significant injury and it was kind of hidden for a while. Isn't it weird?
Teams want to downplay this as much as possible because they don't want people to, think this guy's hurt. They want hope, right? And if Jordan, isn't he a hand? Like he has a bruised hand or he has an injury like I've never heard of that he's been out for a long time. And yeah, you don't want it to pop back up, but yeah, you'd like teams to be honest, but let's be honest. No one's honest all the time. So they're not gonna give you everything you want at all times.
Yeah, it is a hand. But it's muscle strain in his right hand, and he's been on the IL since May 5th. I mean, it hasn't been that long, but people look at what they say publicly, Kratz, and they're like, is that really what the injury is? Or is it something worse? Because you lose trust when you have a situation like Tucker, and that wasn't even the first case.
But what does, I'm going to go on the team side here. Why do we need to disclose it? Why do we need to disclose exactly what it is?
You don't. We can say whatever we want, right? Every team can just say, dude has a boo-boo. He'll be back sometime soon. But that's not really the protocol for most. They say what the actual situation is. I mean, obviously,
normally you have to
share it.
Normally you have to tell what the injury is because you don't want a fake IL. That's why you usually have to come up with, even though teams just make something up, as we all know. But normally that's why you have to tell the injury so they can have a doctor sign off of it and say, oh, yeah, this is really what's wrong.
Yep. Which you can disclose, I guess, privately with the league, with other teams when you're looking at medical stuff like that. But I don't know. People just want some transparency. I see both sides, but I'm going to go on the fan side here. Just tell us what's really happening. And for Alvarez, this is probably what's really happening. It's just that you get a lot of fan mistrust when they dealt with what they did last year with Tucker. All right, FT fam, be right back for Slap.
FT Nation, what's up? My boys at the desk, what's happening? It's your boy Parlay Pap. And I don't know if BetMGM, they just try to give money away, I guess. That's why I love BetMGM so much. But anyway, pretty simple today. The White Sox and the Rockies are playing. So you know what we're doing. We're going to go a 2-game parlay against both of them. And we're going to take the Seattle Mariners against the White Sox in the money line, and we're going to take the Philadelphia Phillies in the money line as well. So, look, this is at plus 101. I mean, we're getting even money, basically. So, we're going to put 200 on it, and this is just going to be, thank you, BetMGM, on an early Monday morning. Thank you for this easy bet. Peace.
That was classic Pap, AJ, right? I missed that parlay Pap that we weren't getting consistently this year. We weren't getting that every time. Sometimes he was going away from the parlays, but he's back.
Yeah, well, that's because the White Sox kept ruining his day. He kept betting against the White Sox, and they kept ruining his day. So guess what, Pap? Go White Sox. Because you know what happened? The White Sox went in there and beat the Red Sox in the series, and he got all freaked out. So guess what? Go White Sox.
He got scared. You hit the fastball for a homer. Guys start throwing breaking balls.
Well, Pap's back. There's our picks for the evening. Do what you want with them. I got Cincinnati money line. Pap's got the Mariners and the Phillies. Kratz has the under on the Cubs-Miami game, as well as the A's taking a dub tonight. And then AJ's got over outs on Pepio and Keller, and also Colorado hitters to strike out 10 times or more. See if we can double up. Friday, everyone hit. For BetMGM account holders, you can get yourself an any sport parlay boost token. We know what's going on, playoffs for NBA and NHL, plus MLB games every single day. So score a bigger payout if your wager with that parlay boost token hits, and tokens can be used on parlays and same game parlays. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We can go back, bring us back I think we got 1 minute here before we come back from the TV break. Nope, just kidding. We have 10 seconds. So I'll talk about it during Slap Hands. Be right back. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, let's slap. I want to give love for the last 2 minutes of the show, and then YouTube fam, we're going to stay on. But for the last 2 minutes here for everyone, to the Minnesota Twins. The win streak was snapped yesterday by Freddie Peralta and the Brewers. But AJ, that was a hell of a run just now by Rocco Baldelli, to I think save his job and save the season for the Twins early on. Right, this comes in May after what was a pretty bad April.
And let's not forget, it got them right back in the division race. But they've been in without Correa and Buxton going down. So, listen, their pitching is what has been unbelievable. Their pitching has been so good, especially their starting pitching and their bullpen. Yeah, listen, great run by the Twins. Let's see if they can keep this up because, like we just talked about, this is a tough division with where they're at now.
Saved his job. Saved his job. Other managers were going down. You win double-digit games in a row. Rocco's safe. Now they have to make the playoffs and actually make a dent in the playoffs. Maybe they can do it. With pitching, anything's possible.
If they're in contention, I would love to see them make a trade.
No, stop. They won't do that. Come on. Don't wish on rainbows.
I would love to wish on a rainbow and see them make a trade. Their fan base deserves it. We haven't heard any news about the sale process. It sounds like that's going to still take a while. Twins fans deserve it, in my mind. We'll get to Kratz hats and we'll do some promos and stuff like that coming up for the last few minutes of the show digitally. But for the TV crowd, thank you. Great guests today, great heat. A reminder also for Wednesday, Pete Alonso is scheduled to join us. We got some good guests that are booked throughout the week. See ya on Tuesday. All right, FT fam, we're back for the final 3 minutes here on YouTube, and then we'll send you to Dodgers territory. I'm sure they'll spend a lot of time talking about how Chris Taylor was cut by the team after Austin Barnes was cut. I think those were two of the longest tenured on the ball club. Obviously, Kershaw's been there longer, but they were up there in terms of longest tenured players. So I'm sure they'll give that some love. Dodgers fans that follow that show consistently have been saying the classic send Chris Taylor to the moon line for a while. And in fairness, it was time. They've got too much depth and too many other good players. You know, I mean, Kim, for example, deserves to be on the big league roster. He's looked great. He looks exactly what you want, AJ, from a non-everyday player. Dude's going to make contact, play good defense, run the bases well. Like, that's a winning player in my mind for the Dodgers. That was a smart pickup, at least in terms of what it looks like right now.
Chris Taylor had 35 at-bats, 35 plate appearances, and we're almost into June. He was big. I don't know. I mean, listen, he served the Dodgers really well for a long time, but it happens to everybody. It was just kind of time, like you said. And, yeah, you can't have a player that only has 35 plate appearances, especially on the team like the Dodgers that move their guys around and like to use utility guys so much. So, to me, it sucks for Chris, but, listen, they paid him a lot of money, and he's had a nice career, and he might get picked up by somebody and figure it out again. But, 35 plate appearances just is not enough at this point in the year.
Yeah, he had a good run with LA for a long time and was a guy that, if you read his story, looked like he was going to be out of the league. And then his swing change completely resurrected his career, made him a lot of money, got him a lot of success. Kratz, that's what he got.
Since AJ's not home, I wore AJ's hat for him. He probably doesn't. You probably don't even have one of these.
I don't know if I have anything White Sox, to be honest with you.
Jelly.
I got a couple stuff, but not much.
A little bit. I like that one. I like the color.
It's good. Good color.
Yeah, it's a nice.
It's
gray.
a different gray. I like the different gray.
Yeah, they might want to even call it that, different gray. All right, 2 promos for you, because after Dodgers territory is Baseball America Hot Sheet. We'll have a panel of 4 for the show today. A lot to discuss, including other pitchers who could be called up soon. And then after Hot Sheet, Trevor May takes over May Day on the FT Network for the first hour, then on his channel for the second hour. Trevor's really good, running point, almost like a late night show with all the little gadgets that he's got in his new studio. So check that one out as well. He had a really good episode. What was it? Last week, I think it only was, when Adam Ottavino was on, and he was talking about actual awkwardness when he was with the team and observing, Rafael Devers against the Red Sox, and Devers just feeling like the respect level wasn't there. It's better to hear it from someone who was actually around it. It just makes more sense. So anyway, check out those shows. Great one today. This one flew by. See y'all tomorrow. Actually, no, not AJ, right?
No, I won't be here tomorrow.
Okay.
He gone.
AJ, we will see you Wednesday. Todd Father Tuesday.
Hopefully not.
Tomorrow.
Hopefully not.
Actually, you're right. Hopefully not. That is true. Good luck to Austin and his game in States. Is it called States?
Yeah, Final Four.
Final Four. Good luck in the Final Four.
If they win tomorrow, they play Wednesday for the state championship.
So otherwise, we'll hopefully see AJ Thursday. We'll see Todd Father tomorrow with Kratz. Bye.